Good morning. Well, today I'm going to do a follow-up video to the one I did on the floods the other day. So I'm going to go for a wander. It's quite early, quite misty this morning. But yeah, I'm going to go around exactly the same sites that I did on the day and do a comparison so you can see the post-flood sort of situation. So I'll wander down now and I'll do a bit of narrative on the way. So here we are. We're just going to wander down to where the raging torrent was. Not too bad up here because we're quite a little bit higher, although I do know that the old barn shop here, they were flooded at the back. I think the water must have ran off. There's a huge slope behind. Let's see if we can see it as we go past here where the castle is. And it must have ran off there, I think. We'll have a quick look. But yeah, they spent all day drying out the back room and cellar, I think. Yeah, it's up there in the mist, you can't really see it. But anyway, head down here, do a bit of a film. Yeah, this is the main bridge where we were. You see all that water subsided now. And the bridge is still here, for those who thought it might not be. Yeah. You can see though, the bed here has been really moved around quite a lot. We'll go down here in a minute. Still carrying a reasonable amount of water, but nothing too onerous. I will put up some clips later found online of floods inside the house, but you can see the rocks on the surface there have been moved around quite a bit. This was all raging, if you remember rightly, I couldn't even get past here. That's still coming down a fair old lick, but contained within the pool, I guess you would call it. Very atmospheric. Peaks Caverns up there. I'll put a picture up. So that was flooded, so they couldn't do any cavern tours, although they could still do the sort of tour they do about rope making in the first part. But you can see that's well below the bridge level now. And well below the bank. They must have dried it out because that cap is open now. So I'm assuming that, you know, perhaps the damage wasn't as bad as it looked like it could have been. But there are worse areas. So this was the other bit where I came around a corner and you just couldn't get down this alley here at all. Ducks are back on the water, so it can't be that bad. But you can see all the sandbanks here. You can see all the muck and dirt that's come through. I can't see any damage. That duck's still going at a fair pace. Look at that duck. It looks like all this was like cobbled, but you can see there that's been torn up quite a bit, the riverbed. You see it's all come through here. They sandbagged it. A lot of soil and mud. And the water's still carrying. You can see how this is normally crystal clear, but these embankments seem to have held up quite good. This was roped off the other day. Yeah, you can see that's been worn and eroded away quite a bit there. That's weird. You can see what level it rose to. It was coming through here, and that must have dropped a good 4 or 5 foot at least, maybe. But they seem to have held. When you look at these walls, they used to know how to build them back in those days. I'm sure it isn't that thick. And this is sort of the area down here where there's some of the worst flooding is, so we'll come to that in a second. Yeah, as you can see, still coming down a fair old lick. But, you know, you'd expect that this time of year. But now we're coming down to the worst affected area, or one of the worst affected areas. You can see they've had to do some work here by the looks of it. Unless that was caused by the flood damage, but that's all cracking there. This is completely underwater. And obviously this one of the houses, because they've had to pull some of their furniture out that's been ruined. It's a shame, isn't it? Still the mud there. They were scraping this all out the other day, but you couldn't get in here. All of this, as you can see looking at the floor, was totally submerged. So I suspect they've probably all been flooded at ground level. But you know, not too bad actually when you think about it. The way that water was charging down there. And then if we come here, remember there were some guys pumping water out from somewhere in here. But that's all. See, the riverbed doesn't look like it normally does. That's normally crystal clear. There's a lot of debris been forced through. And then yeah, it tore through here as well. But you know, it's stood it pretty well, if you're honest. I'll have a wander now, a bit that I couldn't wander down last week because it was all flooded here. The island was flooded, all of this area was totally flooded. So I'll head off down and follow this through to Mill Bridge. I will do a tour video of this video, but if you're interested, this here is the old town ditch. They used to surround the town going back to medieval times. So there's still a few bits of it left. I'd love to go out there with my metal detector, I'll tell you that. Anyway, coming down here now to Peakshole water again. This is where they won the duck race. This is where it finishes. So every year they do a duck race. And you all buy a duck and get a number and win prizes. This was totally underwater the other day. Still quite high, but well within the bounds of the banks now. So you can see how quickly this dropped. So you can see some debris there, but totally gone now. You can see that it's where it flattened all the grass on the far side there and stuff. But I think, if you're honest, probably got off quite lightly. Probably because the waters didn't last too long. So just coming down here now, one of the houses that was quite badly affected, and I think when I see I can find a couple of clips off, like I keep mentioning and repeating myself. You can see how bad it got here, all the mud, all the furniture in that house is stacked up away from the water. Here was particularly affected. Now you can see there, bags of rubbish outside and cleaning stuff. They've had to pretty much flood the entire bottom of the house there. We'll go down here now, see what we can see. Oh, bit of Halloween. This was entirely flooded again. I think I got down to this house in the white and I couldn't get any further. So this is called Mill Bridge. I couldn't get here before. All of this was totally underwater. Amazing how quickly it subsides really sometimes, isn't it? All this here was under a couple of foot of water. Because the river actually flows under this bridge here, which is called Mill Bridge. Because this place here is the old mill, the old cotton mill. Holiday lets now. Don't get started on that topic. But it's going to see. But there's not been much damage to the infrastructure. Mainly, unfortunately, flooding of people's houses on the bottom floor. But you can see there, you can see where it's been coming through. Looks like it may have even gone over the top there. Which must have done just the flood because. Yeah, there you see some rocks there and stuff that's been moved around quite a bit, but yeah, substantial amount of water that was coming through. They've got away relatively lightly. If you remember, all of this was flooded. This field here, you got Spital Mill in the background there, I don't know if you can see it, but this again has dropped. God, must be a good 5 foot, I reckon. But nothing, no real damage to the infrastructure. It's clearly why that field flooded. There's a gate there, probably for that reason. It was like a sort of floodplain. There is a flood station further down. What some people think is, because the water levels dropped so quickly that perhaps they did something there to divert the water away. Not 100% certain, but you can see compared to last time, but it has pretty much scoured the riverbed of any vegetation or anything. If you remember over here, be a bit careful here, this farm field was entirely flooded. You couldn't even get up to that farm, this entire field had gone. You can see why, it's quite sort of high level over there. But yeah, so in a nutshell, in terms of actual physical infrastructure damage, there hasn't been much. The real loss, unfortunately, has been to people's property inside their homes. There's quite a few, a lot of the properties were flooded on the ground floor, from what I've seen, probably up to a couple of foot. So, you know, that's the sad side. But, you know, when you look to the power of the water, I think that was the definition of a flash flood, because overnight that had gone as quick as it had rose. So anyway, that's the aftermath. I'll also put a link up to the back to the video of the floods, so if you have watched this one first or whatever. But anyway, keep subscribing to the channel. I appreciate everyone watching the films. Like, subscribe, share, whatever, and I'll catch up with you on my next film.